Good morning, everybody. I'm assuming you can all hear me, right? All right. So before we begin, a little housekeeping. There's a lot of housekeeping today, but did you guys all sign up for the little raffle thing, the little ticket? Okay. I see some of you looking around like, what's going on? Well, there's still a couple more seconds left where I think we're giving away, what are we giving away? Vision Pro. We've got some other iPhone/goodies. Oh, yeah, I see some heads turning right now. So if you want to be part of that raffle, and there's only 150, 200 of you here, so I think there's a good chance you can get something. So, all right. Okay, I think that's 80% of my talk today. So yeah, that is the future of gaming for today. No, okay. Well, anyway, thanks for coming. I know it's early at GDC. This is my, I guess, 20-something years I've been coming to GDC, except for the couple of years during COVID. And every time I'm here, I'm like, well, yeah, GDC's been the same. It's GDC. I think in the last year, since last year, and I guess moving forward, I do see some changes that's going to happen to GDC, to the conference itself. And I'll talk a little about this. So without further ado, I will begin. The future of gaming it's already here. I think most of us in some way or another are exposed to that change. And it's the velocity of that change which I think it differs among the people who are exposed to it. And so before I talk more about the session or my talk today, I want to give you a little background on who I am and the company that I work with. So Wemade is the company, Remix is the foundation. And here are some numbers of the company. Oh, and by the way, we do have the raffle, but there are a couple of things that I'm allowed to give away. So I'll be asking some questions. So the more interactive you are, the bigger the chance, the higher the chance of you getting something. So don't be shy. So there are 4 numbers here, 24. Yeah, 2,000, 300, 10 million. Any guesses on what some of these numbers can mean? If you guess all 4 right now, you get the Vision Pro. I think I have that authority. Okay. Daily active users? Yeah, there is one. Yeah, that's one of those numbers. But it's not 24. That's a different number, yeah. Sorry.
People in your company.
Oh, wow, that's pretty good. 10 million people, yeah, we're pretty big. Yeah. No, you two are right, so I will look at you guys when I do the draw, because I will try to find your number. We've been in business for 24 years. We started in 2000, and we have 2,000 people in the company, in the group right now. The 300,000 is the number of concurrent users in Nightcrows, which is a game that we launched. And the 10 million is not the price of Remix, but that's the number of, that's the 3-day revenue of Nightcrows when we launched last week. And I'll talk a little more about Nightcrows. So this is a MMORPG that we launched in Korea first last, I think it was April. So it's been a little under a year since we launched. And we just launched for the Korean market. We did pretty well. I think we did like 150 million the first 6 months or so. So good numbers. But it was all Web 2, just the regular games that we know of. And we launched the Web 3 version, or the version with blockchain on it, last week. So it's been about 8-9 days. And concurrent numbers, I don't know how familiar you are with concurrent or peak concurrent numbers. So right now, as of this morning, I think we had a little over 300,000 logged on and playing our games right now. And so that's a pretty big number. I think if you look at it from a DAU point of view, it's close to like maybe 1 and 1.5 million. And some other stuff about Wemade. Microsoft invested in us about 1.5 years ago. This was the only company that they actually made an investment on the Web3 side. Numbers for Nightcrows earlier this morning, a little over 300,000. And yes, I'm not allowed to show this slide, but I'll quickly go over because our PR director is right there looking at me. So yeah. So that, oh, okay, it's longer there. So yes, and we we will be launching an MLB licensed game later, I think tomorrow, day after tomorrow. And that'll be a Web 2 game, but it's a baseball game with, we've incorporated the MLB, Korean Baseball League, and the Taiwanese League, also working on some other leagues. And so we want to make a very big, different leagues, all playing same with each other, so different players. So it'll be fun. It'll come out Thursday, and hopefully it'll do really well. So before I talk a little more about the future, I want to talk a little more about the past. And the past obviously comes from the fact that I look young, but I've been in the gaming industry for about 25 years. I started my career out in Nexon. I was there since early 2000, and now I've been with Wemade for a little over 10 years. And during those 5 odd years, I left the gaming industry twice. Once was to do my own startup, and the other was to do a little in AI. And I'm a big fan of AI. I've always been interested in it. And I'm not from a gaming developer background. I'm on the business side. But AI is so fascinating that I said, you know what, I'm going to quit gaming because I've been in gaming for 20 plus years. And I knew my boss wasn't going to let me do anything else besides gaming, right? Because we were a gaming company. So I said, you know what? I really think gaming is going to change the world. Not just gaming world, but just everything. So I said, I left everything behind. All the people that I knew, all the contacts, all the relationship, and I delved into AI. And then I realized, wow, AI is really cool, but it's really tough. And gaming is so much easier. There's so much more money to be made in gaming. So I came back. Yeah. So that 5 years of experience allows me to talk about some of the things that I've seen in the past. There are a couple big trends that we've all been part of. One is online connectivity. When I first started working at Nexon, I was an intern at the company in the 90s. And I remember when we first launched our MMORPG, we had like 99 people on the server. And then a couple of developers were like, hey, we have 99, we can make it into a 3-digit number. So he would tell somebody log on, and like, yes, we hit 100 concurrent number. It was that kind of day. And and then I officially started working after I graduated college. And it was a fun ride because online connectivity happened, and it made so many changes. And I think a lot of Asian companies, especially Korean companies, were at the forefront of this change, and we were able to capitalize on these changes faster than other countries. Yes, the online connectivity, it made many things happen. The server client structure. Before, we had, I'm sure a lot of you have played StarCraft, but, it was just a multiplayer. There really wasn't like a server-side component to it besides the matchmaking side. When you had the server-side component, you could save progress on your gameplay, and which enabled microtransactions, or for you to pay for things that, besides the current, the CD-ROM, $30, $40, $50 business model. And so when this happened, one of the things that Nexon did was we had a game called Quiz, which was, it was an online quiz game where you had a couple hundred people, or maybe tens of people in the same room. The game would ask a question: who won the 88 Olympics and this whatever? Then people moved to the left, people moved to the right. So it was that kind of game, and it was like back then it was like a $10 a month sub kind of game. And then the dev team said, you know what, we have about 20 people in the game. We do X amount of revenue, and it's okay, but it's not really going to keep us, we're not going to make a bigger game with the revenue coming in. So we made the decision in the fall of 2000 to say, let's go to free-to-play. Let's go to microtransactions. So this was the first game. So we shut the servers down, did the patch update, and we turned it back on. It was like a fall morning, and we turned on the server, and all the tech guys were like, we're looking at our database. What's our revenue? Are people really going to buy things? Because in this quiz game, you had your avatar, and you had to buy skins for your avatar. It didn't help you with any of the actual gameplay. It was just skins. And we waited 10, 20, 30 minutes, and nothing happened. And the sentiment at that time was, okay, this new model didn't work. It failed. But little did we know that we would find out in about an hour or two later that Korea Telecom, who was the payment processor of that game, their server crashed. because they weren't expecting this many microtransactions to happen. And so, later in the afternoon, a couple hours later, we saw the numbers go up, and so it was a great moment. And so, if I remember correctly, the concurrent number, the peak concurrent number at that time was about 10,000. By 2-3 months later, maybe around December, that concurrent number hit 70,000. So the number of users grew sevenfold. And that revenue for the first month, I think we did about $20,000 the month before leading up to it. I think we did, I have written it down here somewhere, but we did about $200,000 a month before the game launch, before we went free to play. And after that switch, the first month we had about $2 million in revenue. So the revenue grew tenfold, user number grew sevenfold, all because we thought, hey, we want to go free to play. We want to try this new model. And so ever since we've seen that, we realized, hey, we're going to make all our games free to play because more interaction, more engagement. And the 10% of the players that actually paid for that content totally made up a lot more than the actual subscribers that we would have had if we didn't go that route. So it was a lesson that we learned, saying, hey, this new business model, this online connectivity, there's new ways to actually make your game more accessible and more engaged with the users. And I talk about this because it's going to lead to some of the future trends that I'm going to be talking about. Smartphones, when Apple came out with their iPhone, it was beautiful. It was just beautiful. And it enabled so many things. It was mobile, but we had our Game Boy, so it wasn't just about being mobile. The new touch screen interface, online connectivity, and what Apple had was they had your credit card, so you can do microtransactions. You can pay for things on the fly with your phone because you trusted Apple with your credit card. And so I think the online connectivity and the rise of smartphone, or the emergence of smartphones, made significant changes. And companies that saw the first part, a lot of the Korean or Asian companies, we capitalized on it. Companies like Nexon, NCSoft. There are other companies in Korea and a lot of other companies in China as well that were at the forefront of this change. And they were able to become from nobodies to somebody because they saw the trend happening. Same thing with smartphones. When, we all know about Angry Birds, Subway Surfer, Clash of Clans, whole bunch of games where before they weren't really significant developers or players in the game industry, but because they saw this change, they were able to adapt their game design and business model. And if you think about it now, Angry Birds is a pretty fun game, but you're not going to spend hours and hours playing it. We did back then, but not anymore because the gaming landscape has evolved. But because they were able to make that leap early on, they were able to capture a big part of that audience. And so these two past trends lead to a little of the future that I'm going to be talking about. Okay, I was going through. It's like, what am I going to be talking about that you guys? Are there things that you guys don't know that I know? And the answer is there really isn't anything that I'm better at. I do have a little more experience because of my 5 years. But number one, AI is so big. I'm not going to go into the details of how AI can change game development because there are so many sessions at GDC, and I'm sure as a lot of you are developers, you guys are faced with not decision, but you have to use AI now in whatever you're doing. It's not just game design. It's not just art. It's not just a text. There's so many things that's happening. And I look at AI, and I feel like AI is as big as the Industrial Revolution for game developers. Earlier this morning, I had breakfast with a smaller game developer. They were making a pretty cool-looking, badass a third-person shooter. And I was like, wow, this is great. So how many guys do you have on your team? And he's like, oh, we've got 6. And they were using Unreal. It was really top notch. They had 6 guys, and they were all old guys. They were all in their 40s or 50s, meaning they've had experience, so they know how to get things done. But 6 guys making a game of that caliber, and they've worked at it for about a year and a half, and they're going to launch it at the end of this year. And I was like, wow, back, maybe 10 years ago, it would be 40 to 60 people working in a game like that. And it's changing so many things about game development. Another developer that I met last week in Korea was, he was a CEO of a small company. He had 4 other guys working for him. Now he's working by himself, and he sometimes gets some feedback from Art, from one of the studios that he has a relationship with. Before, he was always pretty tight after doing payroll. But now, his costs are like 60, 70% less than what it was. And so although I don't know if his revenue has shrunk, but he was like, hey, Juan, I heard you like golf. I'm trying to learn. And I was like, what, you? Aren't you busy running your own studio? And he's like, no, man, I'm doing well. I've got less cost. I'm making, I don't know if it was more or less, but he had more time on his hands because I think he could afford it because he had the extra revenue because of the decreasing cost. And which is a blessing and could be a curse for a lot of us here. I said earlier that if I were organizing GDC, I see GDC changing because do we need thousands and thousands of developers? Some of the games that we're developing back in Korea, we have 200, 250 developers. Nightcrows is at that level. I know of bigger studios in the US where dev costs are 200 million plus. And so that is changing, and it is a worry, and it is something as senior management in a gaming company, we look at that and how do we work with our developers, but how do we maximize the value that AI brings to us? And this is a question, I don't think there's a definite answer now, but the answer that I know is wrong is trying to stay away from it. So having education programs where you teach your developers or work with your developers to better use AI in their game development is not only going to help your company, but it's going to help them succeed at their job, even if it's outside the company later on. The good thing about game development or AI is that it impacts not just us, but everything else that we're doing. Everything else that people use their PC for, almost everything. So a lot of people will have more free time. My wife works in the entertainment industry, and they're using AI like crazy. I can just talk about so many different examples. And because so many people will have free time, excess time, we'll have 3-day work weeks. We'll have 24-hour work weeks where we can do other things for 4 days out of the week. That'll be great, and people will be able to enjoy their life more hobbies, more languages, more traveling. There's a lot of benefits. But one of the benefits that I see for our industry is that these people, gaming really is one of the cheapest form of entertainment. So a lot of people will get a lot of new players, the demographics that weren't part of our original core demographics, or even not the core, but even outside the core. We'll have people accessing maybe more hyper-casual games, or maybe they will join the metaverse, or there's more digital entertainment that they will have exposure to. So in a sense, for a lot of the gaming communities and the companies that we work for, I think as a whole, the industry will grow, I don't know, what is it, like 100, 120 billion this year? It'll grow, it'll keep on growing because people will have more time and they will spend a lot of it on gaming because, as I said, it is a very cheap form of entertainment. One thing that I don't see or I haven't heard a lot about is AI agents in gaming. And this was one of the reasons I left Wemade to join AI was I felt like, hey, there are AIs that will help me within the game. And back then it was smarter NPCs. You ask questions and instead of the regular text box, there's a little more interactivity. That was about 2.5, 3 years ago. Now, smarter NPCs are it's just done. It's not even something to talk about because you can take any of the tools the AI companies have and make a smarter NPC. I would be interested in seeing how many of you are thinking about doing AI agents within your game. Where, for example, I was playing Nightcrows last week. I was playing it, I got to a level, and I was stuck. I did this, I did that, and I ran around the town, went here, hunted things. I wasn't able to get to that level because they wanted me to find a portal to go to this level, this new place called Bastion. And I did that for about an hour and a half. I'm like, crap. And so I'll type myself out to YouTube. I Googled it, and I found it on YouTube. Like, oh, you do this, and it's okay. So I went back to the game. I did it. I got there. I think in the future, we're going to have AI agents where everything can be done within the game, so I don't need to go out. It's not going to be a smart pet that's going to follow me around. it's going to be like Siri in my game, and this Siri will be not just in this one game that I play. Hopefully, there'll be a developer that'll take the APIs from all these different games and plug it in. So I'm playing Nightcrows today, and I'm playing World of Warcraft tomorrow, and the same AI agent will be there for me. So I can ask, I guess, Jarvis, hey, I want to go to this level, and he'll search the internet. He'll show me in-game videos of how I can do it, or show me a summarized text of what I need to be doing. I could order pizza. Hey, Jarvis, can you order me a double large from whatever? All these things will make gaming more immersive, and I think maybe that's one part of us being closer to the metaverse, or that digital world where we can spend a lot more time there and be immersive, and we still will be connected to the outside world. Okay, enough about AI. I mean, there's so many things I can talk about AI, but you already know most of it. The other thing that I want to talk about was funding. Right now, when in the Western world, and I think predominantly in North America, as a small dev or indie dev, it's very hard to get funding. I mean, and if you don't get funding for a bigger project, you can't start that project. It wasn't like that in Asia, or like especially Korea and China, because we had smaller teams. 2000, 2005. They paid themselves $1,000 a month. It was 5, 10 guys working, a year, and they got a demo or prototype, and they go to a publisher. They would get funding that way. It was cheaper to develop and faster to develop games under those circumstances. But that didn't sort of. I don't think a lot of the major games have taken hold that way, being developed in the West. Of course, we do see some successful indie games on Steam and some other places, but you have the gatekeepers. You've got Microsoft, Sony. You got the guys with the consoles where, I mean, it wasn't that easy to get your game and get noticed. But I think funding for your games will change, and there's 2 major areas where this funding is going to come from. One is through blockchain, decentralized autonomous organization, DAOs. I think in the last couple of years, people have sold NFTs. There were a lot of things that I felt weren't really legit as somebody that's been in the industry for a long time. But, I've seen developers that have raised not tens of millions, but like hundreds of millions before a game. I mean, all they had was a white paper, they had some artwork, and they had some good names on the team. And I've been personally part of those teams where they've raised over 100 million for a MMO or an RPG that was going to come out 4 or 5 years later. And I think that was a little too much, but I do see that form of funding happening. I think because we've gone through the phase where we've had a winner, we've been through the scam-like rug pull kind of developers, or those situations. So we will change, we will get better. Another source of funding, which I don't think a lot of people here will know about, is money coming in from the Middle East. The Saudi Arabian government, through their PIF, the Public Investment Fund, through the Savvy Games Group, they make a lot of investments. We know about a lot of the oil money that's devoured teams in Europe, sports teams. There's soccer, football leagues, PGA and Live Golf. These are examples where that money has come in. And that money has started to come into this industry. And so before them, I would say the money that I think, a big chunk of the money was coming from China. I think in the early, when the Chinese market grew, you had companies like NetEase or Tencent, I mean, huge, huge companies. And they had a lot of cash, and so they invested in a lot of companies. So, Tencent is probably the biggest gaming company in the world. I would say bigger than Microsoft or Sony. I mean, Tencent is huge. But I see Middle Eastern money having that influence. So as of last week, Saudi Arabia, or the Savvy Games Group, they currently own shares in it was Tencent, Activision, Blizzard, Microsoft, Nintendo, Scopely, EA, Nexon, and I think also NCSoft, and Take-Two as well. So these are some big names that we know of, and they make other investments, but their ticket size is really big, so it's probably not going to come all the way down to the indie level yet. But I see that happening because the investments in these bigger public companies are, you get 10, 20% or 30%, 50% return on equity. That's great. But I think once they realize there are smaller gaming companies that can make billion-dollar franchises, that money is going to trickle down. And that money coming from the Middle East will pull a lot of developers into the Middle East. So we are working with the Dubai government right now and creating a fund where we're going to support or fund Web3 game developers. And one of the conditions for raising this fund is the developers that get the investment, they have to move some of their business over to Dubai. And Dubai is in the Middle East. It gets really hot after May till like October. And I've been there a couple of times, and originally it's on the desert right next to the coast. But after being there a couple of times, I realized, hey, this is actually a great place to develop games because they have very, very low, if at all, a corporate tax rate. They have no income tax for anybody. As Americans, you're globally taxed, so you have to work it out with Uncle Sam. But for everybody else that's not globally taxed, if you are making enough money, you can go to Dubai, and they take $0 out of your paycheck. And what we're doing with the Dubai government is, okay, we're going to fund you, come to Dubai, set up your shop. And before I got into the details, I was like, yeah, you know what? Because we're funding you, I think you should come. But after I got to know the country and what they're trying to do on the gaming scene, it was more like, hey, I don't even need the fund. I mean, I just need to evangelize what Dubai has to offer. And I don't work for the Dubai government. I feel like I'm doing their job, but it's like, if developers knew about the capacity and the value that this is bringing, it's a very easy decision to make. And I see more developers being there in the next 5 to 10 years because we'll see more success. And they're growing talent. They have a lot of, one of the things about, sorry, I keep talking about Dubai is the Emirate has 3.5 million people. Their KPI for the next 15 years, the KPI of the whole, I guess it's like a state, right, is they want to get to 10 million people in 15 years. And that was a direct initiative that the country or the state has. So they're pulling in a lot of talent. They got a lot of cash. So they're working not just with the gaming industry, but so many different industries trying to bring people in. And I think a lot of gaming companies will either move there or set up shop or move some of their intellectual property to Dubai because it's not going to get taxed there. And I think bigger companies will realize, and smaller developers as well. AR, VR, we all know. I mean, one thing that I'm a little disappointed is it hasn't taken off as fast as I thought. And maybe gaming is not the fastest way. I've got 3 boys, and when I first put on the Oculus, this was about 7, 8 years ago, they came to our company, they set it all up, and I jumped into a museum and there were dinosaurs running around, something like Jurassic Park. And my first emotion was like, holy shit, this is scary. I knew there were like 20 other people in front of me, but I had my headset on and the sound and just the T-Rex just moving. It was that, I think it was like a 20-second experience. It was such a deep experience. I was like, wow, this is going to take hold. Almost a decade has passed and we're not at that level yet. And maybe it's not the right approach that we're making because I think maybe gaming, we do have a lot of convenient ways to game. And as gamers, maybe we don't want to switch the way we play our games. But I do see more educational games and I think the term is work games, like training for different jobs. I mean, what I would like to see is me taking my 8-year-old son to Jurassic Park and, talking to him and playing with him together, escaping the T-Rex, or taking my kids to the French Revolution, or things like that. And, it's not just an educational experience, but you can put gaming into it, where the kids obviously will learn so much better. They'll feel it more. It'll be so immersive that 15-minute gameplay at Ford's Theater when Abe Lincoln got shot. I mean, just being part of that experience, I think will ingrain so many things that history books or teachers or even YouTube can't teach. And I have yet to see that. I thought that was going to be so big, but I see the way the technology changes. So I don't know what's going to happen in the next 5 years, but I know that 20 years from now, when my kids have children, they'll be able to do that with their children. And so it's something that's slower in happening, but it will happen because once you taste that experience, it's very hard to find anything as stimulating. And blockchain. So blockchain has a negative connotation, and it's been like that for the past couple of years. And I get it, and you know, because there were a lot of uncool or just the wrong players trying to capitalize on this. And so I'm not going to talk about NFTs because you've all heard about NFTs, the bad it can do. I mean, there's some good things that's happening with NFTs if you design your game right. One of our games, not Nightcross, because Nightcross we launched last week Tuesday. It's only been about 7 or 8 days, and there's only like 150 people that are able to mint something because it's an MMORPG and you have to grind. You have to get to level 45, 50 to actually do something with an NFT or blockchain. So before then, you're just playing a regular game. And once you hit that level, you have the option to maybe buy some things or connect your wallet if you want to, buy an NFT for somebody else, or maybe sell some tokens that you earn within the game. But getting to that, I'm playing 2-3 hours a day. I'm at level 34 now, so I'll probably be doing this for the next month before I even get to that level. And you know, I don't have to connect my wallet. It'll just be a regular 2 game for me then. If I want to, I can make it into a Web3 game where I can utilize some of the game design that our guys have put into it. Just some numbers, because not enough about Nightcross, but Mirror, which we've been live for the last 2.5, 3 years. Some of our NFTs that we're selling, we don't sell anything to our users. Users are playing our game, and once they hit level cap, or you know, at a certain level, and they have this rare item, or they have their they've taken a certain tech tree and grown their character a certain level or a certain way, they have the option to mint that, freeze that character into NFT, and sell it to somebody else who wants to buy it. So it's not us selling, but some of the highest NFTs that we sold, I might get it wrong, but it's a couple $100,000, like $700,000, $800,000. And so these are NFTs that other gamers have bought from another gamer. And so, you know, there's value there. I think a lot of people confused, and rightly so, and myself as well, that blockchain or crypto gaming was play and earn, play to earn. And I mean, you will have people that'll earn and you know, try to make a living or get some money off it. We've had gold farmers in WoW for the last 20 years. But not everybody's going to be like that. And you can't just have a game where everybody's earning, because then nobody's making any money. And so that's not going to happen. But if you design your game right, I think through blockchain, you'll be able to bring value to users that would see it. So the analogy that I make is, if you had Game X and Game Y, they were totally the same. And one had technology where they used blockchain and said, hey, I'm going to take some of the stuff that I've done here. And you know, maybe you've spent couple hundred hours, maybe $50,000 in the game, and you've contributed to the community where, you know, you're somebody there. And there's this other game which is exactly the same, and you have the same status quo, you have everything, but you're not able to do anything with the time that you've spent or get any acknowledgement except within the game. And if you have the two same things as a gamer, why wouldn't you choose the first game? Because there's value that's being here. Whether you realize it or you think that there is value, you don't have to interact with it. I think gamers will realize when they see more games of higher quality, Nightcross could be one of them, where they look at it and they play, they're like, oh, okay, I see what blockchain's about. It's not only about crypto or P2E or I'm going to make money with NFTs, but there are things that you can do that'll bring incremental value to you, because you know, it's better than not having it. And once that critical mass is there, I think most developers right now, as we say, hey, you have to make your games online. Of course, we have a single-player games, you know, where there's just PvE, there's no online components, and that's fine. There will always be a need for those games. But the majority of the games that we're playing that are long-living, that are making millions of dollars, all have online components to it. How much online component they use, it's up to the game developer and the game design. And that's the same thing with blockchain technology, where you can do a very light grazing of your game, or you can go really deep. And it's what you want to do, or how you want to interact with your gamers. And because there is this technology, you're able to design your games different. One of the things that, you know, we're a platform, we've onboarded about 40 games. And we've shut down about 5 games because we didn't shut it down. The developer's like, okay, I'm not making enough money. So we're like, all right, so how do we shut down a Web3 game where you have NFTs or tokens, which are your properties to own? You own. It doesn't matter if the game server shuts down, because ownership it's worthless. So we've seen cases like that, and you know, we do a lot of analytics of tokenomics, out of the 40 games or so that we've launched. We have like tokenomics in about 30-something of them. Tokenomics is really hard, by the way. But as we're learning to that level, and I think our understanding as an industry right now of blockchain is, if traditional gaming was seniors in college, we're in like 2nd or 3rd grade now. We don't know what's in high school or junior high or what's even in college. We're still, we're just eating lunch and playing baseball, or we're just running around with our friends, and that's the level we're at. But in the next couple of years, I think we will progress, and we'll see better uses of blockchain. And it's not just about NFTs or crypto, but I want to see games where people use blockchain to design their games differently from the very beginning. And one way to do this is through smart contracts, and I think people don't talk about smart contracts a lot. But smart contracts are basically, sorry, I'm rambling on. How many of you know what smart contracts are? Oh, there's a Vision Pro, okay, not enough hands, okay. Yes, I think out of everybody here, maybe about 10% of you raise your hand. So a smart contract basically is a program where if something happens, or if and when something happens, this other thing will happen. It's a algorithm where it's like a contract where I say, hey, when it's next week, you need to send me $1 million because I've supplied you X, Y, and Z. That's what it is. And once that timeline happens and it verifies that I've done X, Y, and Z, it'll just send that money to my account. There's no bank, these are things that people talk about. And I think DeFi, decentralized finance, is a big part of a big use case of blockchain. And in gaming, it's not so much right now, but I want to see game developers use this. For example, let's say I'm playing Madden, or I'm playing NBA 2K. And if the Warriors won their game, I think they have a game tomorrow, and if the Warriors win, everybody who did something in this game would get airdropped this something. It could be as simple as that, or it could be much more immersive things that's happening in the outside world where it triggers some events within the game. So it's not about just doing just smaller things, but also designing your game where you can use this technology, which will make it more engaging for gamers. Okay, how am I doing on time? Okay, I've got some time left. Okay. Yes, a little more about smart contracts, because smart contracts and blockchain can lead itself into AI. There's a lot of things, we all know about deepfakes, things like that. But how do you verify that asset is real? All of that stuff. There's things you can do with blockchain, which I think we'll see a lot more of that happening. Oh crap! Yes. Another thing that I think is changing that I think we're slowly feeling is, how many of you have done paid user acquisition for your games in the last 6 months? Okay, I see a couple hands. Any like, wow, this was great. We paid X amount of money and we got really good targeting and we got really great numbers. Any experience like that? Okay. Oh, okay, there's a couple of guys. We've done that. Out of the 40 developers that we worked with, some of them do their own marketing, so we work with them. And we've seen their numbers, and we've done our own marketing. And paid UA is so crazy. It's, for me to get somebody for an MMORPG, it's somewhere between 70 and 100 bucks to get a paying user. It's crazy, and you don't know how much they're going to pay. So the way I see marketing changing is we'll see more influencers and what do you call them? You don't call them YouTubers, streamers, sorry. YouTubers is the Korean phrase. You'll see streamers becoming a bigger part of your gaming marketing. And I think being able to manage your community better it's a trend that's already happening, but it'll become more and more important. The reason I'm sure about this is because when we launched Nightcrows in Korea last year, we had this program where we set a certain amount of fund, and if you applied to that program, and you're a streamer, and you talked about our game, and you had a certain amount of followers, and they put in a code for you. At the end of it was like a 2 or 3 month cycle. Let's say it was $1 million in marketing fund. They got a pro rata share of that because they contributed to the success of the game. So we did that, and that worked really well for us. We're doing the same thing with Nightcrows right now, the global version. We call it the Triple S, Streamer Support System, where whatever the revenue that's spent in the game, we take a certain portion of that and we put it into the fund. And as a streamer, you sign up and you do the same thing, and it's all on a smart contract. So I think they put in their wallet, and then at the end of the first month or so, there's also a pro rata share that goes to their account. And so, we were saying, hey, thank you for supporting our game. If you like it, keep talking about it. And once it's successful, the more success it has, we'll share some of these proceeds with you. And I think it's worked very well for us. And I think there are other studios that are doing this, but I see more and more of this happening. And so paid UA is going to be miserable. And the marketing to different audience through different mediums, different channels will become bigger and bigger. But one of the things that I used to do was I used to work on online gambling, not illegal, like legal online gambling, where we'd get licensed from different governments. So I was at a conference in January, and for somebody to go to an online site and actually make their first bet or charge their first account, there are companies called affiliates. These guys they have users, and they bring them in. And these affiliates get paid around 200 euros or 250 bucks, 220 bucks to bring in one user that actually charges the first charging users. And I was like, 220 users? Wow, I mean, I can bring 20 of my friends and we'd make $4,000, $5,000 just going to a betting site and just charging $10. But the reason they do that is they know the value that these affiliates bring. They're not bringing random people, they're bringing people that know the game and they can help you with that site. So I think streamers will have that impact. And the better we utilize those guys or that functionality that they have, I think the better we'll be able to work with our games and make better margins. Okay. This was supposed to be an hour. I'm like 90% done. So I made this little slide at the end where I wanted to do a little competition or like a game design idea where if you are interested, you can submit an email to me and talk about some ideas that you thought would be cool using blockchain in your game or any game. And if we looked at it and we thought, hey, this was interesting, we'll put in, I think it was like 10K or 5K, a 3K for the first top 3 ideas that were submitted. And we don't have to use those ideas, but if we thought it was cool, we'd get it and would put it on our social sites or Medium page so that we can give acknowledgement that, hey, these are some cool use cases. So I wasn't sure if I should do this. Do you think there's enough interest here where I should? Would you guys be interested in participating? Yeah, people are always happy when there's money involved, right? And so, okay, so this is what I will do then. The last page of my slide will have my email, and then, well, hold on, let me see if, okay, yeah, all right. So, yeah, this is the slide. I wasn't sure if I was going to use this, so this is the information that I have. Yeah. Oh, crap, I forgot to put the 10K there, so legally, nobody can tell me that I said 10K unless you're videotaping this, which I think some of you are. So now I'm bound. So what this is if you or any of your friends have some good game ideas, and it doesn't have to be game design ideas, maybe the streaming support system that I talked about where you can say, hey, if something happens, this will happen, and you can use blockchain or smart contract technology into that. It just needs to be a good idea. If you say, well, I can sell NFTs and make money, or you can make, that's not going to get picked. So think about this. I'm thinking a two-pager should be enough. So just for writing down and thinking about some of your ideas, you could get, what did I say, 1K? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, 10K, I guess 5K, and another 5K, yeah, for the top 3 submissions. So please take a picture of this, and fortunately, that email is not my email. Yeah, it's somebody else's email, and it was the shortest email on our company that I know of. So you can send your submissions or questions to that email, and by the end of April, we'll notify the people that have submitted. We'll send you an email saying, thanks for your submission, we'll get back to you by April 30th. And then if you're picked, we'll get back to you and say, hey, thanks for your ideas, and we're going to put it on our social site somewhere so that other developers or other Web3 game developers can look at it and utilize your idea, because if it's really good ideas, I think we need those ideas to proliferate more into the industry, because I really see a lot of value that I think there's a lot of skepticism. So people aren't really thinking about those things as much. But once we think about this, it's great. And you know, 10K for an idea, it's not going to your company, it's going to you, right? So I mean, why not do it? Okay, so this is everything that I've been prepared to talk about. Usually, I think they want me to say something at the end, which was thanks for coming. Do you? Oh yeah. Oh, okay. I got to do this. This is where that'll come from. And was there something else? Was that a thumbs up? Okay. Oh, there's more tickets that came in. Oh wow. This is mine, by the way, 680. Okay. I'm going to put it in here together with everything else. Oh, two more. Okay. All right. So yeah. But before I do this, I think we should go with questions, right? Because I think yes, we'll go with questions. Yes. Keep the suspense going a little more. Yeah. So thank you for coming. Before you go, we're gonna open the floor up for questions for the next 5 or 10 minutes. If not, we'll go directly into what you're most interested in. Yes. Yes. The question was, how are developers using blockchain right now? Are there any examples? No, I think the first generation of blockchain games were games like Axie Infinity, where it was cool, it was crypto, so let's try some things. And a lot of people find out that wasn't sustainable. The second version of crypto was, blockchain was, well, we'll make the games a little better, but it's basically the same as the first group of games where the model wasn't there. I think what we're seeing now is developers, I think Nycros will be a good example, where you're looking at blockchain. And to be honest, I'm not a developer, but the code behind blockchain, a lot of us use, it's called Solidity. It's not very difficult. I mean, you can look at the code base and sort of get an understanding, okay, this is what it's supposed to do. So, I mean, we're doing it for, Nycros is a really weird example because we've done so much. We have 7 different cryptos within the game. We have one big crypto. We have 7 different things. So we want to see how much value, because as game designers, we don't know how the in-game economy is really going to work. So we're going to test it out and see the value, demand and supply, and the value fluctuate among different items or different things within the game. So to your question, I see a lot of Asian or Korean companies using blockchain mainly for crypto or that NFT part. And I think that's the really easy early things. I have not yet seen really good game design yet. So sorry for not being able to give you a great answer. Okay.
What do you envision the development of visual AI into AR, VR hardware, and how will the immersive experience motivate the global population?
Did everybody hear that? Okay. Yeah, I was going to repeat it, but then you said "and," so I forgot the first part.
Yeah,
but
sorry about that.
Can you repeat a little louder, please?
Yeah. What do you envision the development of visual AI into the AR and VR hardware, and how will the immersive experience motivate the global population?
Yeah. Visual AI in AR and VR. I think 3D generation through AI is not where it should be, but next time this year it'll be so good that it's going to be so much cheaper. I would say 80 times cheaper, I don't know, 20, 50 times cheaper than what it was 2-3 years ago. So that leading itself into AR and VR, I think is a natural segue, because it is very, when you put on your headset and you see all these things going on, there needs to be really good high fidelity. And I think maybe right now we're not at that level, because if you look closely at some of the stuff that OpenAI, Sora, all these graphic engines, you still see faults, right? But it's not even a question of when. It's already happening. So next year, you probably won't ask me that question because it'll be obsolete. And the second part of your question was?
Just like how will the immersive experiences motivate the global population?
As I said, I think education is one thing that can just help. If I were Apple or Meta, I would donate so much hardware to schools where kids could be exposed to that. And once they're hooked in and they see the value, I mean, parents, and coming from an Asian background, and I think globally, as parents, you want your kids to succeed, and everything that you think you can spend money and help them become a better person or more experienced, you're not shy. I mean, you'll spend less money on other things to make sure your children have a better future. And I think education is one of those things. And I mean, I wish I could share that experience 8 years ago when I put that, and I was in that museum with that dragon. It was like shocking. And the more children have experience, I think they will grow up. And right now, it's not there yet because I get headaches, I get dizzy. I have problems playing fast FPS games now, but it will happen because the kids will be exposed to it. So it'll happen slower, but will it have a global impact? For sure. I mean, for sure, without a doubt. Yes, the gentleman. Oh, there's more. Wow, you guys are really, yeah. There's two gentlemen, one with the GDC cap and the one with the red shirt, red jacket. Yeah. So.
One big thing that I've been noticing is a lot of companies have been trying to get AR to deal with something like Pokemon Go, but on your glasses. But another thing that I've been interested in is a overall world separate from our own, something like Ready Player One. How do you feel about the differences between AR and a virtual reality world like that?
I think that world, that virtual world, it's been here. I've been part of it since I've been playing WoW, 3-4 hours a day, every day, except it was in 2D. It wasn't on a screen where I was all surrounded. And will that come? When will that come? I think it will take time because, and maybe hardware technology will keep up. But I really do think it's already here. I mean, the amount of time that we spend on gaming is it's a lot. There's time, there's money that I feel like, when will it happen? It's already happening. Will it happen to the Ready Player One version? There's hardware requirements which I am not very familiar with, but without a doubt it's going to happen. When I see my kids spend so much time and money on Roblox and Minecraft, I mean, they're already in that world with their children. I mean, we all feel it, right?
Right. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, do you feel that we're more headed towards the XR, where we're walking around and seeing that world in front of us, or more towards the virtual reality, where we immerse ourselves away from the world to experience a different world, connecting through, where I can meet people from Korea or from Poland just in that world in the safety of my home, or more so where I'm meeting people out and about and interacting real life with things in a virtual world?
My short answer would be, as gamers, it would be the latter half where it's all immersive. And I think XR would be for industrial uses, where if you're running a factory, if you've got a plant somewhere, you need to do something off-site, those things we'll see more XR stuff. But for gaming, this is so much sexier on this side that I feel like once you taste this, this is not going to be very fun anymore. Yes, we have time for 2 more questions. I promised the gentleman here. Oh, yes, okay. They want you to come in the middle because they want to look at your handsome faces or pretty faces. So if the gentleman with the GDC cap, if you want to, I don't know if that's a GDC cap. But, okay. Put this in the box. Oh, while he's coming up, yes, okay. Please go ahead.
I'm curious about your specific opinion about developing games from South Korea, because they are in Asia, so they have access to the Chinese market, I guess, easily than companies in America. And right now, Korea is a leader, a cultural leader, by exporting music, exporting culture, like
drama,
movies, more series. Music is super ubiquitous in the world, right? So my question is, how do you build a company that will have access to the whole world when regulators and finance and the government can easily cut your business model right away when they decide, you know what, we don't like crypto anymore. So you have a whole business developed for that, and one day they just cut it off. How do you protect against that? So
it's funny, Korea, we're a South Korean-based company, but a free-to-play, or blockchain game is not allowed in Korea. So we service the entire world except for Korea, China, I think, and Singapore. It's funny. So are there ways that we can get around it? I mean, we don't. I mean, there are laws and regulations that we have to follow. But to your question of how do we make games global, that's such a tough cookie, and I don't think there are a lot of good cases. I mean, if it's a sports or an FPS type of game, yes, you could make it really global. But the Japanese gaming market, the Korean, Chinese gaming market, Southeast Asian, the North American, European, there are flavors that are so very different that it's, I mean, there are like really, really few cases like World of Warcraft that have been able to go global, but very few games. But to your original point, which was how do you mitigate those risks? I mean, with everything going on the blockchain side, with the SEC in the US and all these different regulations, I think one is just being more open and transparent about it and just talking a lot more, because I don't think we have enough knowledge to actually say where we're going to be in that situation, where we're going to be in 5 years. And we're a public company in Korea, and we think about this a lot. We have compliance teams, and we don't know what we should be compliant to because there is no regulation yet, but we are talking with a lot of different industries and different government bodies. So I can't help you with an answer, but just be vigilant about it. Okay. All right.
So this is a very tactical question that I'm really excited to ask you, Mr. Su, because you're so uniquely positioned to answer this. For those of us that are developers right now asking, what skill set should I focus on in an era of generative AI that seems like a moving target from 1 minute news article to the next, what are 2 skill sets that you would recommend in the generative AI space that we focus on as developers right now to stay relevant?
Wow, you know, my answer is going to be obsolete in 6 months. I mean, are you working for a small developer or a big company? How big is your team size?
3 people.
Okay. I think you guys are probably much well positioned because you guys are now much more flexible. I would say I don't have the answer except maybe talk with other smaller developers that have gone through that or are doing that, because I think, and the guy that I had breakfast or met earlier this morning, you know, I thought he was using AI for his great looking game. He had great assets or great artwork. And he's like, no, we're not doing AI with that. We're actually buying things from the Unreal or Unity store, I think, either store. They're tweaking it, they're modelizing it, and they're doing a lot of work behind it. But they're doing all their script, MPC or text, TTS, you know, all those voiceovers, they're using AI. So I think different studios have different needs, and I think depending on how much cost saving or how much value you can add, there are different things. So I would say talk with other smaller developers. I'm sure there are a lot of forums out there where people can share the, you know, all these stories. Yeah, thank you. And we'll just take, yeah, sorry. Yes, okay, yeah. They want me to get off stage because I've talked long enough, and they want me to pull this. So I will take your question after I'm done with this. So if you're there, we'll go for it. So the first number I picked 3 is 680. No, okay, that was my number. Okay, 291. Who's got 291? Oh, that was going to be the Vision Pro. Okay, next one. Oh, this is a good number. Oh, crap. 999. Yeah. Okay, there is no 999 because it was 666, and okay, there you go. Mr. 666, you get one of the goodie bags that has, we have, not the Vision Pro. The Vision Pro was for 291, but that's also very good. We've got some Apple stuff there, very worthwhile. 299. No, 299? 299? Oh, there you go. To the gentleman over there. And I'm going to pick 3. And this will be for the Vision Pro. Okay, 299 was there. So I'll go, wow, there's a lot of 200s. 298, 674, and 670. Okay, who are the 3 winners? 1, 2, 3. So this is what we're going to do. We work in the gaming industry. So I want all 3 of you to stand up. We're going to do paper, scissors, stone. So you decide your own fate. Do you guys know paper, scissors, stone? Or rock, paper, scissors? Different ways to call it. No, you're going to give up? Ah, come on, man. It's a Vision Pro, right? Okay, so we'll all you guys will raise your hand in the air. And how do you say it? Rock, paper, scissors? Yeah. Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, everybody put scissors. Once again, rock, paper, scissors. Oh, wow. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay, you're out. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. Oh, okay. There you go. You're the guy that had some good questions, and you nodded your head. So he gets the Vision Pro. Wow. Okay, thank you for coming. If you have any questions, please stay till the end, and we'll answer some of your questions. Thank you.